Does the winner of Beneil Dariush versus Charles Oliveira deserve a title shot? Mark and I are going to try and answer that question. But before we do, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe as we have brand new videos every single week. So firstly, a lot of people have been calling for Beneil Dariush to get a title shot for quite some time because he's had an 8-fight win streak. But Mark, if you take Charles Oliveira out of the equation, do you think that people should be calling for a title shot for Beneil Dariush? Do you think he's fought enough high-quality opponents to deserve a title shot?
Well, I think once you get into the top 10, not even the top 5, the top 10 of the lightweight division, and you're still on an impressive 8-fight win streak, I think you can probably have a good claim to the title, because it's not as if he were just in, Cage Warriors or something, and then he had to beat up a few unranked guys. Beneil's done it convincingly. I know his last outing there was maybe worrying moments and things, but I fully believe that Beneil has done enough, and I think there'd be an internet riot, to be honest, if Beneil didn't get a title shot after this.
Yeah, I think if he can beat his next opponent, then yes, definitely. But I'm somewhat slightly in disagreement. I feel like, yeah, it's great to be in the top 10, but I think to deserve a title shot, you need to be beating a top 5 opponent, these elite guys, because that's where I feel there's the real big step up. Because we can pretend that the top 10's excellent. Of course, it is, but that real top level, that's where they're just complete elite fighters, and that's where it's really, really dangerous. And I somewhat disagree with Islam getting the same thing. Like, I don't think he should have got a title shot without fighting a high-level opponent. I don't see how you can get a title shot from fighting Bobby Green at a catchweight. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I feel like you need to fight those high-level opponents. But Islam proved me wrong. He obviously beat the champion, so perhaps the same will happen for Beneil Dariush. But if Beneil does beat Oliveira, do you think he definitely deserves a title shot without question?
I would personally say yes, just because to mix it all up. I know we've got Dustin and Justin for the BMF in a little while, but you feel like they've always been floating around that top position. They're never more than 2 fights away from getting another title shot. Just throw Beneil into the mix, and I don't think he's had the best of luck with either cancelled fights and all that kind of thing, because he was supposed to fight Islam, wasn't he? And then Bobby Green stepped in, that kind of thing. So it was supposed to happen. But, just things unfortunately go wrong. And I do believe that Beneil, he should be able to get this title shot, if presuming that he does beat Charles.
Yeah, I think if he beats Charles Oliveira, the ex-champion, then yes, 100% he deserves that title shot, because you've now beaten the number 1 contender and you get a chance at that title for me without hesitation. So let's move on to Charles Oliveira. If Charles Oliveira wins, do you think that he should now get a rematch with Islam Makhachev?
Yes, I'm agreeing for both, to be honest. I mean, because it wasn't as if Charles was just a one and done champion. I know he's had his moments. He gets dropped in every single fight, almost. But he was the champion, successfully defended it. I know he missed weight and all that kind of thing, but let's just put a pin in that for now. It was never beaten until Islam beat him, So I think he's got a claim to be the number 1 contender as well, which is a strange position to be in, isn't it? Because it's as if you've got a 4-way dance.
Yeah.
The 4-way title chase in the lightweight division of these 4 elite guys who all have a claim. So it's strange. It's like a weird King of the Ring tournament.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And to be honest, I'm not sure if Oliveira wins that he does deserve a title shot. And I know people are going to be like, oh, well, of course he fucking does. But I just feel like with Oliveira, yeah, fine, we can put a pin in it and we can say, yeah, he wasn't beaten, but he did vacate the title. He only had 1 successful defense, and then he got dominated by Islam. It wasn't even a slightly competitive matchup. He got absolutely destroyed. So why would a guy with 1 title defense and then got battered by Islam deserve another shot? I just think it's also not a fight I'm interested in watching, because I don't see, has Charles going to improve drastically from that last fight? I just don't think he will. I think we're just going to get a rehash of the same fight and Islam's just going to batter him. And I think that's a real shame, but that's just what I think is going to happen. Do you think that if Oliveira does win this matchup with Beneil Dariush, do you think he deserves to jump up for a title shot over someone like Dustin and Justin, whoever wins that BMF competition?
Well, to be honest, I'd love to see Oliveira versus Dustin or Justin again. I'd love to see him run it back because both of them were great fights. Even though the Justin one didn't exactly last very long. But yeah, that's a hard one to state, to be honest, because this is what I mean. It's a tough chase for the gold, but we are forgetting about one particular Aussie as well, who was Islam's last fight to come up there and to be racing for this gold as well. So you've got him in the mix, presuming that he gets over Yair. What the hell's going on in the lightweight division? Whoever gets the next shot, Dwayne, the internet will be mad. Yeah. Whoever it is, I'm waiting for the claim that Connor's going to get the next shot.
Well, he always deserves a title shot back. I mean, but again, you're right. We can pretend that he won't get a title shot, but if he wins, it could happen. The UFC love an ex-champion and they love to push their stars. That's just a fact. But I think no matter what, I think all of these guys are fighting so soon and it's such a quick turnaround to the Abu Dhabi card. Are you concerned with injuries? Because if any of these guys win, or even if they don't have massive injuries, there's still going to be a lot of damage taken. So a lot of these guys might not be ready to fight. You could have literally Dustin win and Beneil Dariush win, and neither of those guys could be ready. They could both be injured. And, that's a big possibility. So then who fights for the title? It's in such a tricky position for that lightweight division.
Well, that's where Volkanovski comes in, because he's going to come out of the Yair Rodriguez fight unscathed, ready for the rematch with Islam. That's what's going to happen, Dwayne. I'm rooting for the Aussie boy. But in all seriousness, yeah, it is a great possibility because it is a very quick turnaround, and especially we've spoke about it before. Justin doesn't seem to fight too often in general. I'm not sure if it's injuries, suspension, etc. Dustin only really seems to take prize fights nowadays. His resume is ridiculous, to be honest. But if once a year, if you're lucky, really, and they are bangers each time. But it is a very quick turnaround. Beneil and Charles, I don't know. I genuinely, I don't have an answer for you, Dwayne. It's just. It feels like we've got a train going off and there's some tracks that have been cut. It's like the old Looney Tunes where it's going to just fall down a cliff now. We don't know what the hell's going to happen. What's going to be the wreckage?
Yeah, exactly. What's the wreckage going to happen? We're going to have all these amazing fights, these great contenders. But knowing our luck, it'll be Mateus Gamrot because he'll be the only one uninjured. But I do think that's all we've got time for. Thank you for watching. If you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really, really does help us out.